be interesting to see how that affects either sentiment or indeed insurance costs for various organizations over the next period. But I suppose that's kind of a long-term sort of situation there.
Could be kind of things that we could track is, the insurance, insurance costs for sports clubs versus policy position on insurance, and see whether the policy position has an impact on premium. There are options there. But anyway, I was just flagging it just to see if there is an interest there. Can I ask, just to keep us moving along, because where you'll have to head off soon enough, James, by the sounds of things, how would you like the relationship between a Sport Ireland Research and Innovation Unit and the department to work? Does it work the way it has worked to date? You spoke a lot about the use of the Irish Sports Monitor and stuff. What are the best structures to ensure the department is getting what it needs from the unit, and that the unit is communicating effectively with the department?
I suppose this is really part of it's part of the bigger relationship picture that a parent department should have with its agency in the overall sense. I'd be a big advocate of, we have set up Sport Ireland, or Sport Ireland has been set up under a statute, so it's got to be let to get on to do its work. It's not. So the establishment of that relationship between the department and the agency, has to be an open one, and in my experience, it can be most constructive when it's kind of left to get on with it. Now, the question is, we have mechanisms established currently where we have these liaison meetings, and I think they work. In my experience, they work pretty well. I think definitely in terms of communicating, wishes and expectations on an ongoing basis, it's probably best done in that format. I mean, I would always be clear. I think one of the things departments really have to avoid, and I understand in these time pressure times, there can be a tendency for individuals and departments get to know individuals in Sport Ireland or the agencies, and then you have these kind of, relationships that, some prosper, some don't. That's not a way, I think, of having two organizations work optimally. So you have to have a kind of a conduit and a structure that works well. We have a kind of an individual conduit in relation to, things like the democratic process. And I think that works well. I think in terms of kind of communicating the policy and all the rest of it, you have systems in relation, say, the minister meets the chairman, the Director General for Sport would meet the CEO for Sport Ireland, for instance. And I think those liaison meetings actually fulfill the second part of it, where the Director General for Sport in here meets the CEO of Sport Ireland and the executive management team in Sport Ireland and the team here in the department. I think that's as good a way as any of doing it. Just to make sure that there's enough space and that research isn't an afterthought in an already packed agenda. So it's kind of, maybe there is a case for, making space on that agenda for one or two more expansive considerations of particular themes, rather than running through. I mean, we have an agenda at the moment to make 20 items on it, and we go through things almost kind of, it's, perhaps too much of a routine now, but maybe there is space for thinking whether research could be one day, it could be anti-doping another, it could be, different themes there might be a theme picked for each liaison meeting, or maybe one liaison meeting in a year, so you do the housekeeping and then you do the more strategic stuff. And I think that's probably the best way to work it, I think, structures wise.
Thanks, James. That sounds good. I have three last questions then. These are kind of high level questions related to
Mark, do you have anything else to?
Other than that, at least.
Yeah.
Very happy with the way everything has worked so far.
Yeah.
So these are very high level questions just around print